Before I start, I want to give a special shout out to the Resident Advisory Council and to Stacy. This summer I had the pleasure, and you'll hear a little bit about this in the evenings, to work with residents, have some conversations about what an advisory council could be. I don't know how effective I was, but their stories were brilliant, as you heard some of them today. So I want to give, first and foremost, an applause again to the Resident Advisory Council for being formed and also for the work they're going to do in the future. I also, I was always told that you have to say thank you to the people who are paying for you to be here, so that way they'll invite you again. So I want to give a thank you to Harborlight Community Partners, but in all seriousness, I want to thank particularly Andrew and Deanna, who for several weeks followed me home, tapped my phone line, and read my emails until I agreed to come. That might have been the government, but it's funnier if it's Andrew and Deanna, so that's okay. But I'm grateful for being here. I'm grateful that my parents can be here. Rosa, my mom, Jorge, my dad. I am the fifth, as was highlighted several times. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, they're sitting at table 4. And my partner is also here, Ashley, who came with me from New York. So this evening, I want to share 2 building blocks of the theme that we have today: strong frameworks and caring communities. And these two themes, I think, are profoundly important for the work we do here at Affordable Housing. One of these themes is celebration, which we're doing right now, and the other is proclamation, which I believe we're also doing, but in a different way. So regarding the former, I first want to celebrate that Andrew's friends and I still have hair on our heads, even though our hairlines are going further back than the polar ice caps. Second, I want to celebrate the fact that even though I made that joke, he hasn't come to escort me off. And third, I want to celebrate the fact that amidst making this joke over 30 seconds ago, he hasn't sent a cousin named Vinny, Vincent, or Junior from Jersey to come and tackle me off. I'm not gonna lie, when I wrote that down, I was laughing in my own head for minutes. But in all seriousness, I really do want to thank Harborlight and Deanna and Andrew and all the staff that made this possible. I've learned so much with them over the past several months and over the past several years, building relationships with the staff that I'm sure you all know so well. And I want to, before doing anything else, just give an applause to Deanna for organizing this, along with all her helpers, as well as Andrew for his continued work. So celebration and proclamation. As a Puerto Rican, I come from a culture of stories, so in this evening I hope you'll walk with me as I share one of my own. As it was mentioned, this summer I had the blessing of working for Harborlight, and as part of my work I met with residents from each of the Harborlight communities. Some of these encounters were formal, speaking about specific projects and initiatives. Some were informal, as residents invited me into their beautiful homes where I learned about their families and their histories, and in the case of one particular resident, how much they like martinis. That was my favorite meeting, just for the record. And some of these meetings fell somewhere between the space of formality and informality. And in one of those meetings, I sat with residents and shared about the importance of advocacy. We talked about how as individuals who were already benefiting from an affordable home, it was important to, in the capacity we were able, push for structural change that would allow organizations like Harborlight, who are immediately meeting a need, to continue their valuable work. I emphasize in these meetings that I know that for many of us, being in an affordable home was not an indication of laziness, of lack of hard work, and much less a moral deficiency. In fact, for many of us, being in an affordable home was not even part of the life plan. And I say us because as I shared with these residents, I too grew up in an affordable home in Connecticut. And I'm not ashamed of that. I love where I grew up. That is my home. And I also know that I didn't grow up there because my parents are lazy or anything of the like. In fact, quite the contrary. My parents did everything they could my whole life to make sure a roof was over my head and food was on the table. It didn't matter if that roof was affordable. It didn't matter if dinner at night was white rice and an egg on top. My needs were met, and I grew without having to move every couple of months, as some of my friends did, without having to switch school systems, depending on where I lived, and without having to worry about whether or not I would get wet if it rained and cold if it snowed. I had a place to live in that my parents could afford, that gave me stability, and it gave my family a platform to progress. As I shared this with residents at one meeting, you could see in some of their eyes a moment of reflection. Anger, sadness, joy, happiness filled their eyes as many began responding to what I was sharing. One resident shared that it was never in their life plan to live in an affordable home, but they got sick. What once was a strong, able body deteriorated, leaving them unable to work. They remained whole as human beings with dignity and worth, but their physical condition meant they could no longer afford to live where they once did, and no other option was plausible either. They shared that for them, Harborlight literally saved their life. For if it was not for their units, they believed they might have been homeless. Another individual shared with the same reflective tone. Over the years, this individual had amassed a fair amount of wealth and notoriety through their hard work and high-profile contracts. But within several years, quite literally, all of the money they had was used to pay for the medical bills of their sick partner. By the time their partner passed away, they were left without enough money to sustain themselves. So they needed to find a place that was affordable in order to live. The amazing part of the story is that the individual concluded by saying that they are grateful for their units and that they would do it all over again. They would give up all that wealth in order to make sure that their partner could die peacefully. And I share these stories because in their uniqueness, they are not exclusive. I spoke to countless residents, families, children, elderly individuals, all living in Harborlight homes, and heard story after story. If not illness, it was the job market. If not the job market, it was a broken immigration system. If not the immigration system, it was the fact that after 30 years of working as teachers, nurses, social workers, some individuals did not have enough money to retire and needed an affordable home. Holding these stories then, I stand in front of you a product of what an affordable, stable home can do for a family, and by association an individual, an elderly person, a person with a physical or cognitive difference, a single mother, a single father. I stand in front of you grateful for Harborlight because it is organizations like this that provide an important piece of infrastructure for individuals who are hardworking, intelligent, imbued with dignity and worth, yet at present can't afford a market rate home for whatever reason. And indeed, the reason is less important than the fact that a human being needs a place to live in order for them to live. And I make this distinction very purposely, because your ability to live, to have peace, stability, lack of stress, and a platform to progress is immediately hindered when you don't know if tonight you'll have a roof over your head, or if tomorrow you'll be able to have enough money to pay this month's rent. So I told you at the beginning tonight that I was going to talk to you about celebration. And I am. Because the fact that one individual, let alone over 500, has a stable place to live tonight, thanks to the work and dedication of Harborlight, is enough reason to celebrate. And indeed, we are here to celebrate life in abundance that is made possible when human beings have a place to live, in order for them to have the ability to live. Yet I also stand in front of you because celebration always couples with proclamation. That is, the declaration that even though things are being done, even though things are getting better, even though everything seems as it should be, they are not. Indeed, as I sat with those residents speaking about the importance of advocacy, it was precisely because of a broken system that speaking about this was even necessary. And here I will take a brief moment to preach to the choir, or at least to continue preaching. While Harborlight is currently serving over 500 individuals in 9 municipalities, some of the waiting lists for our buildings are up to 10 years long. That means that some of our elderly residencies, our elderly residencies, there will literally be people who will not outlive a waiting list. While Harborlight is currently serving the North Shore, that does not mean there are not other parts of Massachusetts, New England, and the US that do not also have affordable housing needs. While Harborlight is expanding the amount of places it serves, that does not mean that demand for affordable units is dwindling. And none of this is an indictment on Harborlight, because as an organization, it is meeting an immediate need, saving lives, providing a platform for life, and making a difference, and this work needs to continue full steam ahead. But Harborlight will continue to be overworked and constantly catching up to the need for affordable homes, so long as 80% of land in Massachusetts is zoned for single-family homes, meaning there's literally not enough land for people to live on. So long as municipal funds are designated for housing continue to be used for reports and audits and not for living rooms and bedrooms. So long as voting members of our towns continue to view people in affordable housing as criminals and riffraff, and not as the nurses, teachers, social workers, chefs, and professors that we are. Celebration and proclamation. We are here to celebrate that Harborlight has done and continues to do such profound work. We are here to proclaim that the work is not done, not just because more units need to be built, but because the root of the need stems from laws, policies, and beliefs that keep hardworking individuals from homes they can afford. Yet we are also here to proclaim through celebration that we are not broken, that we are not shaken, and in fact that we are filled with joy and reinvigorated with jubilance to continue the work, because we know that work brings life. So I invite you this evening to continue celebrating, so that with renewed energy we may continue proclaiming that the ability to live in a stable, affordable home is not a privilege for some, but a right for all. Continue celebrating, so that with renewed energy we may continue proclaiming that we're doing good work, but more work needs to be done.